Welcome to The Art of Likeability, ranked one of the top podcasts in the world. In this podcast, you'll discover how to leverage likability to build stronger relationships, lead more efficiently, close more sales, and keep customers happy while increasing success in your professional and personal life. Let's jump in with your host, Arel Moody.
What's going on, Art of Likeability family? Arel Moody here, your host of the Art of Likeability podcast, where we teach you things that make your life so much more likable that you would be really in your best interest to consider going to the DMV in your local area and getting your license plate changed to likable. Because that's what everyone was going to say about you. They were like, man, that license plate you got, though it's a little conceited, accurate, but we all can't get that license plate because one, I don't know if it has the recommended amount of characters. And two, it's only one per state. So, there's about 52 people in America that's good, which I do overseas. I'm not sure how your license plate stuff works. I'm going to stop using that analogy and move on to the actual content of this episode because this one, this is okay, so this is one of my really deep personal philosophies. And I realize I share a lot of strategies on this podcast, which are absolutely amazing. I also think it's important to share some strategies that are more philosophical based, more kind of like you can just apply it in your thinking. Because a lot of times, circumstances are going to come up and circumstances are going to present themselves. And if you have good philosophies, they work and they allow you the ability to work them in different philosophies. So I want you to imagine something in your life bad happens. You go to talk to someone and it's a fail. Or you have a breakup in a relationship. Someone treats you mean. Someone steals from you. Someone fires you. Someone, whatever it is. I mean, geez Louise, we've all had horrible things happen to us, right? We're humans. So just fill in the blank with whatever has happened to you that's been bad. I want you to just, think of something, okay? And what I want you to do, besides hitting the subscribe button, which if you haven't done so yet, just inserting it in there because this is going to be so good. You should just hit subscribe if you haven't yet because it's going to be that worth it. But if you already have or you've already done it, I got you. Let me jump into what we're talking about. Now, here's a philosophy I have, and I can actually better explain it to you by the story in which I learned it through, which has absolutely changed my life. So there was this gentleman who really wanted to, impress his mentor. And he, worked really hard. He did everything he was supposed to do. And his mentor always said, you're my favorite student. I love you. You're amazing. You're great. Okay. So then one day, the student overheard his mentor talking with some people. And the mentor was talking so highly about the student and saying, oh my gosh, my student, he works so hard, he's amazing, he's great. And then people said, well, the only reason why he works so hard, the only reason why he does so great is because you tell him he does so great and he does so good. What if you didn't allow him to do that? What if you actually embarrassed him? What if you actually did something that made him feel really bad? Would he still be the same amazing person you think he is? And the mentor said, absolutely. I know this person's character. And then people said, why don't you prove it? Why don't you give this person a test? Do something that would be completely out of character for your student and see how they respond. So the mentor says, cool. Now, at no point did they catch that the student in this story was actually listening to this whole conversation. So as things move on, the student's like, all right, so my mentor, he's going to do something. And I know he's going to do it. And I just got to keep my cool, right? So the mentor goes to a student and says, hey, I need you to do something for me. I need you to do this activity. And the activity is something that children might be able to do, right? It's not something you'd ask for a kid to do. It's like, hold my, bag and just stay still and don't move, right? So he gives him the activity, and the guy goes, sure, no problem. He holds on to it, smiles, no big deal, right? Invites him over to his house, and he tells him, oh, you know what? We don't have enough room at the big table. I need you to sit at the kid table, which is a high dishonor because, if you ever have been to a family event, the hierarchy is only the kids sit at the kid table, not adults. But in this case, he got put to the kid table. Still, he's like, I know why my mentor is doing this. This is no big deal. He's just tested me, so I'm not gonna get upset about it. And then the student does some work for the mentor, and the mentor goes, this work isn't nearly as good as it should be. You should be doing, so much better. I expect so much more. He tears into him. And the student goes, yo, no problem. You're right. I'll give it my best effort. Because this whole time, the student knows that the mentor is trying to trick him. So this goes on for a couple of days, and then a week or two. And then the mentor goes to the people and say, look, see, my student, I've been treating him really bad for the whole, week. And, he's good. Then they say, all right, well, let's talk to the student. So you go to the student and they say, your mentor has been doing really bad work lately or treating you really bad lately, but you've taken it so well. Why is that? And then the student goes, oh, well, I got to be honest with you. I overheard him talking to some people saying that he was going to treat me poorly and have these bad things happen to me to test how dedicated I was. So every time he did something bad to me, I just knew it was a test and it wasn't really what he meant. So it didn't bother me as much. So as he said that, the mentor steps into the picture because he was there the whole time to teach his student an extremely important lesson. And that lesson was, everything in life that happens to you is just a test. Right now, you listening to this, everything that happens to you, it's all just a test. It's not just these things that in the scenario that the mentor was doing to the student was a test. Life is the test. I happen to believe in God. I don't know what you believe in, but believing in God has been working for me really well. I suggest you do the same. But if you don't, more power to your belief system. What I believe is that God is our ultimate mentor, or our creator, or the universe, whatever is the word, whatever word you feel good with, right? Universe, energy, God. I like to use God because that's my thing. So, roll with me on this one. God is the ultimate mentor, and everything that happens to us, it's all just a test. Someone steals from you. So do you say, oh, I'm never going to give to anyone else again because someone stole from me? It's just a test. Oh, you got fired from a job. Are you going to be angry and take it out on your kids and your wife or your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friends? You're going to take it out on them because you had something bad happen to you? It's just all a test. What if you knew, and I just want you to imagine it for a second. What if you operated from a place where every mishap, every bad thing, everything that didn't go your way, you operated from a place that it's all just a test. It's a test to see how you're going to respond. What if you knew, and just hypothetically, if you will, what if you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that every time something bad happened to you, you were the student in the mentor situation, and your mentor was testing you to see if you're really as good of a person as you say you are? How would that change the way you would act when good or bad things happen to you? How would it change the way you interpreted those bad things? So you're driving to work, you get a flat tire, you're late for a meeting. What if instead of saying, oh my God, always happens to me, of course I have the worst luck in the world. Or what if you said, this is just a test. The ultimate mentor is trying to see how I'm going to respond. I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to get to my meeting, figure out how to get this tire fixed. I got to get this done. Let me go. This is all just a test. Just for a moment, imagine if that's how you approached the things that didn't go well. Your significant other gets into a fight with you. Your friend does something you don't like. Your boss does something. Your coworkers do something. Your business partners do something. Your client, just whatever it is. What if you looked at it as, and if you knew that it was all just a test to see, are you going to give in or are you going to stay this good person that you actually are? Well, You may be begging the question, but Aurel, how do I know definitively beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's just a test the way you're saying it is? Well, good question. I'll answer your question with a counter question. How do you definitively know it's not? Think about it. You're asking me, well, Aurel, how do you know it's all just a test? Well, I'm asking you, how do you know it's not? But imagine if you adopted what I'm sharing with you today as a philosophy, that when bad things happen to you, when things don't go your way, when things irritate you, when things like grind you, it's just a test. What if you operated that way and you knew your mentor loved you and your mentor wanted to give the best to you and give you the best information, and they were doing this test to see what you're going to learn from it, what you're going to gain from it? Are you going to stop being the good person you say you are because things stop going your way? What if you looked at it that way? How would life change? How would the problems in your life change if you said, oh, this is my mentor just giving me a test. I knew that this was going to happen, so I'm not going to let it bother me. Just imagine, what if you operated from that way? So you can't prove that it doesn't happen that way, and I can't prove that it does happen this way. So just choose the philosophy that's going to best impact your life. Because ultimately, I don't know if I'm right, and you don't know if you're right, or you don't know if you're wrong, and I don't know if I'm wrong. No one knows. So adopt a philosophy that's going to empower you instead of disempower you. So I encourage you to adopt this philosophy of it's just a test. When you go through bad things, when bad things happen to you, when things knock you down, are you going to say, I'm no longer going to help people? Last time I do something good for people. You know what? Good guys always finish last. Oh, everyone always takes from me. I'm not going to give to anybody. Like that kind of giving, like that kind of acting is giving yourself disempowerment. But if you go, oh, what am I supposed to learn from this? This is just a test from my mentor. My mentor is trying to, throw me off. But I know that, I'm being tested on purpose, so I'm not going to get freaked out about it. I'm going to figure out what my next steps are because I know ultimately some good is going to happen from it. What if you did that? Imagine how much more likable your life will be because your problems won't be so huge and devastating. Now, one could say, Aurel, easier said than done. I can't do that. Now I'm not so positive like you are. You're Mr. Positive. First of all, everyone who disagrees with information that impacts their life, that's how they sound in my head. So if I ever talk to you and you're like, Aurel, I don't want to be likable because I don't care if people like me. I just want to be me, blah, blah, blah. That's how you sound in my head, right? Because ultimately you're just like disregarding extremely straightforward, like repeatable evidence that proves that if you're a jerk and mean to people, like eventually it's all just gonna crumble down. But if you actually care and you're good to people, you build relationships, great things happen. So whenever you talk junk, just know in my head, you sound a little bit like this. I hope that doesn't offend you. I'm just keeping it honest. What we like to call in the streets, keeping it 100. So you may say, well, easier said than done. You're such a positive guy, blah, 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 right? The truth is, it's a practice. And that's one of the things that I think people don't get. They think that life is a light switch, And there's moments you have aha moments that feels like a light switch, but ultimately life is all practice, right? Practice. It's practice. I'm getting my Allen Iverson. If you're not an NBA fan, that reference is like totally lost on you. But if you like NBA, you was probably thinking that Allen Iverson press conference when I said it. Moving on. It's all practice. All right. What that means is you have to practice saying to yourself, this is just a test. It's not like now that you know that I said this, you never have to worry about mentally reconditioning your brain. No, of course not. It's not like you listen to one of these podcast episodes and then you automatically know how to act in every single situation. No, you got to practice. And when you practice, it becomes more top of mind. When it becomes top of mind, it becomes more actionable. When it becomes more actionable, you do it. More easily actionable, you do it. So I want you to practice this week. When something bad happens to you, something doesn't go your way, just go, it's just a test. Just a test from my mentor. I'm not going to get freaked out because I know if I get freaked out and mad and upset, I fail a test. And I'm not going to let the mentor because I know it's all just a test. And I promise you, if you keep doing that, eventually, right, sooner than you think, something good is going to happen to you. And you're going to be like, man, Arel was right. I didn't let that thing bother me. I kept going, and this really good thing happened to me. God bless that podcaster, entrepreneur, author, speaker, high five aficionado that I listen to every week. So listen, apply that, okay? But listen, if you don't apply it, that's fine. You're just gonna deal with things that's gonna suck. Why would you want to do that? You wouldn't. That's why you listen to this podcast, because you're trying to build more success and more happiness. If you don't want that, you listen to the wrong podcast. But it's very important. Very, very, very important. Asking yourself, understanding the story I told you, and asking yourself and telling yourself, this is just a test, is going to do nothing for your life, like nothing. Like it improves your life zero. The implementation of actually saying this in your head and applying it in the moment in which something bad happens will absolutely impact and change your life for the better. But you got to take action. You got to be someone who's moving and someone who's willing to take action when the time doesn't feel right, when it feels scared, when it feels just do it, okay? It's all just a test, all right? Next time it happens, someone yells at you, someone's mean, someone whatever. It's just a test from my mentor. My mentor is testing me. Ain't gonna let them get me. Not this time. And you move on. And then watch how many good things start happening in your life, all right? So let me know what you think about this one. Do me a favor. If you're a new listener, an old listener, if you haven't left a review yet, could you please stop being a jerk? I'm talking to you. You've been listening to all this goodness. And I just be asking y'all simple things. Give me 5 stars. Subscribe. I'm being so kind and generous in my offerings. And all I ask back is if you receiveth this message, to leave a subscribe, a 5-star review. Is that so much to ask? I hope not. So come on now. If this is helping you, I want to know. I'm sitting here talking to you. You listen to me, but I don't know what's happening to you. So go ahead and let me know. Stay connected. Check out artoflikeability.com. Join our newsletter. Download our free report on how to become more likable. We got cool stuff, and I'm doing this for y'all. I'm doing this to make a difference, and this is a passion of mine. So I hope that you feel it. I hope that it's helping you, and I hope that you share this. If you can share this podcast with people who need to, maybe someone, if you know someone who's going through a lot of bad things, or someone who feels like life is constantly bad, this could be the episode that can change your life. So don't keep it a secret. If you got some friends or some family members that are dealing with some stuff, this is a good one to share with them specifically. All right? I'm out of here. Sending you a big old high five. You are awesome.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, The Art of Likeability, and reach out with any questions you have. Until next time, remember, my friend, you are awesome.